goes live in 2 minutes. Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the program. It's Friday, the 20th of November, and we've got a guest to start things off. Vic Walczak is the legal director of the American Civil Liberties Union of Pennsylvania. Vic, hi.
Hi, Lynn. How are you?
I'm okay. I have some trepidation, I have to tell you, because it's my understanding you were not born in this country.
You're outing me.
I am. I mean, you were.
It's true.
You were a refugee in your youth.
I'm one of them foreigners.
Yeah, you are. He was a refugee along with his parents, and we're just gonna throw caution to the winds here and allow this refugee on the show. Okay.
Well, thank you, but I understand Donald Trump may be tracking me.
Yes, I saw that. Did you see he's gone up in the polls?
Yeah.
God.
No comment.
Jeez. Oh man. Let's talk about something positive. Because it turns out there's an app for everything, right? Well, maybe not. But now there's an app, courtesy of the ACLU, that is particularly interesting. So, Vic, you pick it up from there, if you would.
Yeah. So folks may have noticed that there's a real proliferation of videos taken by people who stumble upon some kind of police-civilian encounter. Think Eric Garner, or think the poor guy who got shot in the back down in North Charleston, South Carolina, Tamir Rice. There's all these videos out there that are really having a huge impact on sort of changing the discussion and dialogue between police and primarily communities of color. And the police, not surprisingly, or at least some police, are not all that happy about people who want to shoot video of them. The ACLU of Pennsylvania has filed at least a half a dozen lawsuits. I think we have 3 that are pending right now against police who either try to stop people from taking videos of them or, in fact, issue citations and even arrest them and take them to jail for taking pictures of what they're doing in public spaces, which is a constitutional right. You have a right to be able to record what the police are doing in public. And to protect those videos, some of which have been destroyed by the police, the ACLU's come out with an app which you can download free either for Android or iPhone, which very easily will record the photo, and as soon as you stop recording, it automatically gets uploaded to the ACLU. So even if your phone gets taken or destroyed, or the police try to erase the video that you've taken, it is secure. And then there's all sorts of other neat little features on the app as well.
Well, I'm a Luddite when it comes to this stuff. So you mean if I download the app and I happen upon an encounter that I think I want to document, if I just start recording because I have the app, it's now, or do I have to go to the app, then go to the, I mean, is it multi-steps?
Well, all you have to do is tap on the app and open it, and then when you do so, there is a large red button that says record, and you just hit record, and that automatically starts your iPhone or phone recorder. And then when you stop recording, whether that's voluntarily or somebody snags the phone from you and it stops, it automatically gets uploaded, so it's like into a cloud, and so it's safe regardless of what happens to your phone or what somebody tries to do with the recording on the phone.
Who would you suggest maybe download this app? Everybody?
Yeah, frankly, it could be useful for anybody. One of the things we've seen that's been really fascinating, because the ACLU of Pennsylvania unveiled this, I think, a week ago, and we did it on the same day as the Minnesota ACLU did. And within a couple of days in Minnesota, they had a tragic shooting, I believe, of a young black man, and within hours there were thousands of downloads of the app from the ACLU of Minnesota. And we expect that the same kind of thing is going to happen whenever there's a tragedy and somebody realizes that these kind of things can happen nearby. We also think it's probably going to be very useful during large-scale protests. Think two political conventions coming up next year, right, where there's the potential for any kind of police-civilian interaction. Or it's much more likely when you've got large crowds like that. So, I think anybody who's going to be in one of those situations can certainly benefit from it. And frankly, if you're not using it, it's on your phone in the event that you do need it at some point.
So let's clarify, because I think a lot of people don't understand this. Even if you're filming and a cop says, stop it, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. I mean, and they can be frightening when a cop comes at you like that. You're saying you can stand your ground and say it is my constitutional right?
Well, you may do so at your peril, just because it's your right, just because it is a constitutional right. You have a lawful basis to record what police are doing in public. As long as you're not physically interfering, doesn't mean that the police are going to follow that law. So if a police officer is telling you to stop recording, if you keep recording, you probably do so at your peril. What the police should do in a situation, if you are standing in a place where you may be in danger or you're somehow threatening what's going on with the police altercation, they should tell you to step back, not to stop recording. But so that, two things sort of to keep in mind, and there's a little bit of tension there, is one is you do have a constitutional right to record what the police are doing, but if the police get out of hand and tell you to do something, you refuse that order at your peril. So typically in those kind of situations, what we say is don't fight with the police about it on the scene. Step back. Maybe you may want to ask a question about whether you're too close, why you can't record. But again, some officers have kind of hair triggers, and just that kind of verbal challenge may be enough to set them off, and you could end up in handcuffs.
Huh. Well, so what
so
good?
It
what
does
good
get
is
tricky.
What good is a constitutional right if the people who society gives the right to, to serve and protect us, refuses to acknowledge that we have that right. I mean, that just seems...
Well, that's why we're part of the reason why the ACLU is so busy. Constitutional rights are there. They are lofty, noble principles, but the Constitution's not self-enforcing. So government officials violate the Constitution every day, which is why we have courts and we have public interest organizations like the ACLU to be able to enforce those laws and hold folks who violate the Constitution accountable.
Boy, you speak with a silk tongue. I just want to say that.
Did you say forked tongue?
No, I didn't say forked. I said thilk. I said
thilk. Okay, that's better.
Okay, where do people get this wonderful app?
You can just go to the ACLU of Pennsylvania website, which is www.aclupa.org, and you can see it from the homepage, or you can just go to your app store, whether you're an Android or a iPhone user, and download it there. It's called Mobile Justice, and you'll want the Pennsylvania version. On the app, there's also a Know Your Rights section on there, which if you look at that, it's tailored to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has some unusual laws in terms of protecting privacy and recording. So, for instance, you cannot use this if you're in Pennsylvania inside somebody's home without their permission, without the homeowner's permission. But if you're in a public place and you see something that maybe you want to record, then there's absolutely no problem with turning on the phone to record that.
So that particular Pennsylvania law, is that stymieing efforts to get cameras on police in Pennsylvania?
It is, because there's videos everywhere, right? And what we're talking about with this app is what civilians can use via their cell phones. The other sort of civilizing mechanism that the ACLU and others are pushing is for police to have body cams on, because there are now enough studies out there that show that when people are being recorded, everybody behaves a little bit better. So if the police have the cam on and they tell the people that they stop that they're being recorded, everybody seems to behave a little bit better. And I know the Obama White House and the Justice Department has been giving out lots of money to promote the use of body cams by police. And in Pennsylvania, because of this dual consent requirement under the wiretapping statute, police cannot, without consent, record inside somebody's home or inside somebody's private business. So there is legislation to fix that, so that if the police go in and there are some kind of exigent circumstances or they're making an arrest, that it's an exception and it's not going to be a problem.
Okay. Hey, Vic, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure, Lynn. Anytime.
Okay.
Take care.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
He's a busy guy. He's got important things to do, and we just wanted to have him. I'm sorry. There is a caller. If you were calling for Vic, I'm sorry. He's gone.
Oh.
Hello?
Hey, Lynn, this is Roger.
Roger, hi.
Hi. This is an interesting conversation because I'm reading a book called Arrested Development by David Cooper. And
Yes.
He had a really interesting take on policing in this country and democracies versus communist countries or dictatorships or monarchies, in that the police in a democracy is there to protect us and help facilitate our rights under the Constitution.
Yes.
And also, and he was promoting this back in the 70s, it looks like, that like if there's a protest march or anything, they're supposed to facilitate the protesters, not confront them and prevent them.
Right.
And what you and your guests are talking about is really disturbing of what we have to, of what we're now having to have to do.
Well, but it is, this is a tool to use because we do know that there are police who do not, in fact, care about your constitution or our constitutional rights. There's rogue police, right?
Is there anything besides the ACLU? Is there any type of leadership out there that is working against, working for us? I mean, and I'm talking on the police level and the government level, or are we kind of on our own in this?
Well, let me think. The ACLU is a very unique organization, and God knows where we'd be without it. It is true. So they serve as these protectors of our First Amendment rights, as well as some other amendments like search and seizure and things like that. And in this day and age, man, the ACLU is busy. Busy. I mean, what Vic said, he's not here anymore. What Vic said.
Oh, he's not.
No. That's why you're wondering why you weren't hearing from him. No, he left. He had to go. He's got more important things to do than talk to us. Believe me, he's got, he's a Cape Crusader. He is always on the move, and we'd rather have him doing that kind of thing than doing radio shows. But he, I forget what I was heading. What he said, what he said is it's one thing to have. I mean, I said, but if we have these constitutional rights, why don't they? But he said that you have to, just because you have rights that are granted, you have to be vigilant in guarding them and protecting them. That's what makes he says that's why the ACLU exists, because without that kind of organization and people being vigilant, people in power, police, governments will just by human nature start pulling away those rights. Once the subjects of power get complacent, they will see their rights whittled away. I have to tell you, in terms of the Second Amendment, this is why the NRA is absolutist, because they feel that they're standing there protecting that amendment, and they but they've gone off the rails, right? But I don't know what to tell you. Every man for himself, and thank God for the ACLU.
I agree with you there. I just was wondering if,
which, by the way, needs money. I mean, they exist. You think the ACLU is government funded? No. The ACLU totally exists on contributions.
Well, maybe they need to. Oh, never mind. I can go to another topic. The police chief, our current police chief there in Pittsburgh, it seemed like, he got himself in a little hot water when a number of months ago.
It was almost like Black Lives Matter holding up a sign.
Yeah. I mean, is that indicative of where he'd like to take his police force?
Yes. And
he's going to be up against it just like David Cooper was in Madison.
Yes, right. And he is up against it. I mean, he's battling every day. But that is a good guy we've got, and let's just hope that he can withstand all the forces that are going to be pushing back against him to reform, re-educate, and diversify the Pittsburgh Police Department.
He's got a battle.
Yeah. Okay, Roger. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Right, bye-bye.
Okay, well, that was our respite of the day. Wasn't much of a respite, was it? Jeez. Oh, well. So I think, for scaredy cats all over the world, here's the thing to do now. Now that they've taken this hotel in Mali, apparently they're letting out people who can recite the Declaration of Faith or something to Islam, and a few major passages. So I think people might be, just memorize them, okay? So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're being taken hostage, you can prove that you're a Muslim by being able to do the Declaration of Faith. Let's hope it ain't too long. I don't mean to make light of what's going on now in Mali because God knows how that one's going to end. Probably not well. But, yeah, welcome to the new normal. And welcome to the scaredy cat US of A. The pushback on these Republicans on the stupid bill passed by the House yesterday is pretty extraordinary. I noted that the U.S. Holocaust Museum, which I have never seen ever in my memory, taken a political stand on something, has issued a release. And this is how concerned they are. Here's what their release says. Acutely aware of the consequences to Jews who are unable to flee Nazism, the U.S. Holocaust Museum looks with concern upon the current refugee crisis. The museum calls on public figures and citizens to avoid condemning today's refugees as a group. It is important to remember that many are fleeing because they've been targeted by the Assad regime and ISIS for persecution, and in some cases, elimination on the basis of their identity. So, and they go on to say, don't make this worse. Do not make the same damn mistakes, you idiots. Totally playing into the hands of ISIS. And I actually came upon something that, yesterday I was ranting about this. And this guy says it so well. He is a member of Congress. His name is Steve Russell. And he, speaking against this stupid bill that passed the House yesterday to essentially keep any Syrian out of the country, no matter how compelling their need, their desperation, and, in fact, how clean their resume is. And this is what Congressman Russell said. Not all of it, but some of it. While I have tried to focus my comments on what we should do to eliminate ISIS, one action we should not take is to become like them. America is a lamp that lights the horizon of civilized and free mankind. Now, see, here's what's interesting. He says something like that, and I would say that's our mythology. That's what we want to believe about ourselves. That is us at our best. But let's look at reality. We already know half of Americans polled say, don't let any of those Syrians in. Okay, so that's not lifting a lamp beside the golden door. That is not what this congressman said is America, which is supposedly a light to mankind. Was a Reagan's shining city on the hill. It's all the same, those metaphors about us being so special. Well, you don't get to crow about that stuff unless you live it. I'll go back to the congressman. The Statue of Liberty cannot have a stiff arm, he said. Her arm must continue to keep the torch burning. If we use our passions, anger, and fear to snuff out her flame by xenophobic, knee-jerk policies, the enemy wins. We've played into their hands, period. And then he went on to quote some of the things that were said on the floor of the House during a debate. And it turns out the quotes he did exactly what I did yesterday, were quotes from 1939. Quotes from members of Congress saying the same kind of crap that they're saying now to argue for why we shouldn't let in any of those German Jews who are trying to get the hell out. In fact, one said this. I heard it the other day. I could not believe it. Sure, who wouldn't take in 20,000 little children? But those 20,000 little children, once we take them in, are going to grow into 20,000 kikes. That was said on the floor of the U.S. Congress. And that thought, that guy was on the winning side. That guy prevailed. And it's the same crap that's going on now. And any American worth being called an American, worth being able to claim adherence to our wondrous mythology, does not side with xenophobia and fear. Back to the congressman. We must not become them. They win if we give up who we are, even more so without a fight. We guard our way of life by vigilance. We must be watchful. We have to have each other's back and be alert to dangers. We must speak up when we see something. By maintaining who we are amidst the threat, amidst the hatred, amidst the trials, we win. It's like the father saying to that little boy in Paris, the flowers and the candles will keep you safe from their guns. If you didn't see that, look it up. Back to the congressman. Patrick Henry did not say, give me safety or give me death. He said, give me liberty, implying that he was willing to lose his life to defend liberty. We have defended our way of life, Mr. Speaker, said the congressman, for 240 years. Now we as Americans must defend it again. We must defend it when the critic, sitting on his couch in his underwear, eating his bag of cheese puffs, is pecking out hatred and vitriol on social media. We must defend it and have courage when voters are caught up in the passion, demanding security that also could well kill our liberty. We must defend it with our warriors who have worked hard to keep the fight off our shores by being vigilant and aware and while looking after their families. We will always have threats, but liberty, when lost, takes generations, if ever, to regain. Okay, I read this speech because Representative Steve Russell is a Republican from Oklahoma. Now, normally if you told me a congressman's a Republican from Oklahoma, I'll tell you he is one of the loons, the xenophobes, and there I am painting with too broad a brush. This guy, he's probably a very conservative. He's a 21-year career soldier with the Army, combat veteran of Iraq, and he went after his own yesterday on the floor of the House. And you see how much good it did. But I tip my hat to him. Representative Steve Russell, Republican of Oklahoma. Oh, yeah. Okay. I don't know how much. Okay, I'll do a little more of this, right? I mean, here is Krugman today, and he's looking at the same thing we're looking at. He says, what explains the right wing's propensity for panic? He said part of it, no doubt, is the familiar point that many bullies are also cowards. But I think it's also linked to the apocalyptic mindset that has developed among Republicans during the Obama years. And if you stop and think about it, the Republicans they're constantly crying wolf. They're constantly telling I talk about this all the time, the population to panic. Obamacare will destroy America. This will destroy America. Every Syrian is a potential terrorist. They just cannot help themselves. They love to sow panic. And I think Krugman's off here. I think they do it because it has been a winning strategy for them. First, you terrorize people. And in this regard, you use ISIS's terror. You pick it up and run with it. And you use it to drive home the terrorist message that you should be very afraid, very afraid. And that is why they're playing into ISIS's hands. They're doing their work for them. And then once you've made the populace terrified, you stand up and you tell them you will keep them safe. You'll build the army. You'll keep these refugees out. You will do anything to keep them safe. And here again, hearkening back to our Republican congressman from Oklahoma's statement, safety is not the highest value. Our liberty, our freedom, our better selves are the values you fight for. You don't fight to protect your life. You fight when you fight under the flag, you fight for what the flag represents. Freedoms, liberties. Back to Krugman. He points out that Ted Cruz, who he also points out has a real chance to potentially win the Republican nomination, has gone so far as to say that the president, Barack Obama, quote, does not wish to defend this country. So here we have a Republican Party that has spent decades now encouraging its base to wallow in its fears and to reject all nuance. And now anyone should expect that base and also those who are vulnerable to these terror tactics by the Republicans to somehow grow a pair. Forget about it. They're scared. They don't think clearly when they're scared. And after the Paris attacks, which Republican candidate has gained support? Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Because he says things like, and I'll build the biggest, baddest army anybody ever saw. And I'll take them out. And all this and that. And that sounds exactly, that's like music to the ears of these terrified Americans. At this point, panic is what America's right is all about. And the Republican nomination will go to whoever can most effectively channel that panic. That's their MO. That's what they've been doing for years. Back in the day, the panic was about Willie Hortons, was about black men. Do you remember that? Do you remember that? That was called the Southern strategy of the Republican Party. They were proud of it because it worked. Look what it did. The South is absolutely red, Republican. Then there was, remember the fear they sowed about homosexuals are going to destroy marriage? Do you remember that one? That resonated really well. The gay agenda. Republicans always have a boogeyman. And they're knee-deep in boogeymen right now, man. They are wallowing in him, man. You got, every terrorist attack. They ride them. They love them. They're absolutely hand in glove with ISIS. If they are aware that that's what they're doing, then it's like traitorous. If they are truly unaware that they are, by their reactions, playing into ISIS's hands, then they're idiots. So they're either idiots or traitors. I don't know which ones they are. Ted Cruz is no idiot. Harvard. He's a scary guy. His poll numbers have gone up too. He's pulling even with Rubio. That's going to be the fight. Rubio-Cruz. That's the fight. Dr. Carson, who had a few very bad, horrible, awful weeks, has lost a great deal of support. So it looks like Dr. Carson is starting to head down. But Trump got almost a third of all Republican voters and independents leaning toward Republicans. Donald fucking Trump. Now, I still believe, I do think he's going to hang in there for some time, but I still believe he might end up with enough delegates that he can influence I can't see him getting the nomination. But that means it'll go to one of the legitimate candidates that are behind him. And that ain't going to be Jeb Bush. It's going to be Cruz or Rubio. Mark my words. Hello.
Hi, Lynn. How you doing?
I'm fine.
I love Paul Krugerman, too.
Yeah.
Yesterday's news struck me when I think the current leader of the House, Paul Ryan, was talking about this immigration bill.
Yeah. And
characterizing it as a calm, common sense, measured approach to the immigration, and we wanted to make both the head of all the
the head of
departments 100% sure that it would be okay.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want our citizens to be killed, right?
Yeah.
Now, transfer this in a hypocritical way to last year. I looked up in the internet. There were 33,000 plus deaths due to gun violence.
Yes.
And that when the Democrats want to have a common sense, measured, civilized way of approaching gun control, we can't have that. And we can't have a common sense approach to gun shows where they don't have any background checks at all.
Well, what about, and it's been pointed out since the latest Republican, fear-mongering, wait a minute. The Republicans can't even get a loophole closed in our gun laws that would prevent anyone on the terrorist watch list from buying a gun, because now they can and they do, and you know,
you could get a terrier sneak across the border.
Oh,
and
man.
then go to a gun show and perfectly legally buy anything he wants.
Yeah. It's mind-blowingly so absurd.
And you will also see, I heard saw in the news that Donald Trump was confronted in one of his meetings. Do you know his latest rant where he wants a database of all Muslims?
Yes.
And he was confronted by a reporter saying, do you know that matches Hitler's search to have a database of all the Jews before he started exterminating them?
Mm-hmm.
And he was dumbfounded. He couldn't answer it. So that's something to call.
Well, you know what? That's interesting you say this, because someone, Milton, has just sent me a quote. Can I read it?
Sure.
Okay. Of course the people don't want war, but after all, it's the leaders of the country who determine the policy. And it's always a simple matter to drag the people along, whether it's a democracy, a dictatorship, or a parliament, or a communist. It doesn't matter, voice or no voice. People can always be brought to the bidding of the leaders. It's easy. All you have to do is tell them they're being attacked and denounce the pacifists for lack of patriotism and exposing the country to greater danger. Who said that? Hermann Goering.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Not much changes, does it?
No.
No,
History
you know why? Because
history repeats itself.
Yeah, and history repeats itself because the commonality, the thread that runs through history, is human beings, human nature. How easily people are led by the nose.
And one of the tactics of these radical jihadists is to make sure most of the masses are uneducated, and
yes.
they sort of brainwash them to do what they want.
That's right.
You see that here, where a lot of the Republican base are the uneducated.
That is true.
They don't want people to vote. They want to gerrymander the system. And
well, I think you're seeing things very clearly. Unfortunately, yeah, it's not easy to look at, is it? But there it is. And wow, I don't know. Maybe if each one of us could talk down, one of these scared fellow Americans down off the crazy ledge, it would be good. You think we could all do that? Do you have?
I'd like to see someone, Obama or somebody, interview one of these Syrian Christians who come across and just say that their fellow Syrians, whether Muslim or Christian, it doesn't matter. We all are in the same boat.
Exactly.
I haven't heard that.
They're all running for their lives. Honest. For someone who wants to be the president of the United States to say, and we have Bush saying it, and we have Cruz saying it, that, well, if they're Christians, we can let them in because Christians aren't terrorists. What?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What? Wait, what? There are plenty of Christian terrorists. I give you the Ku Klux Klan, one.
Yeah, the Burning Cross. And, they're talking about mud people and things like that. They use the Bible to their advantage.
I give you, I suspect that Timothy McVeigh was Christian. That's the worst terrorist attack other than 9/11. It's the worst carried out Oklahoma City was. Come on. Ugh, I'd like to just shake them all.
I know you'd think your common citizens would know your history, but they just only know what they see on Fox or the faux news.
Yeah, the faux news, and they only know what their reptilian brains tell them. They're just in a constant state of terror, which allows them to be manipulated. And speaking of terror, I cannot listen to the news anymore, the national news, like CNN especially, because literally, listen to them, and every 2 seconds, Wolf Blitzer says the words frightening or terrifying. And he says, to almost any comment that like an expert says, he'll say, Well, that's really terrifying. Well, that's really frightening. That's really terrifying, horrifying, terrifying. I'm going to start, I guess I'm going to, if I did a drinking game, I'd be passed out in 10 minutes. But I think what I'm going to do is I am going to try to log them for 1 hour. And if you think that repetition, anybody listening to CNN, not faux news, who keeps hearing terrifying, frightening, terrifying, you don't think that raises their sense of their vulnerability? You bet it does.
Sure, that changes the polls.
That's right. And so media, it just drives me crazy. I want to punch Wolf Blitzer in the mouth. He does it more than anybody I know. Anyway.
Some end of the year media awards. I mean, just criticizing who are the most obnoxious or ones that just seriously psychologically affect the public. It's not for the public interest, whether it's good or bad.
Right. And if you think that'll stop them, you're wrong, because it's good for business. A terrified audience is an audience that tunes in.
They're part of the corporatocracy.
Yeah, they've got different reasons than the Republicans. Republicans like terrified people because then they can tell them they'll keep them safe. And media like terrified people because terrified people need constant information to protect themselves and will watch.
Get high poll ratings or high viewership ratings.
They give you high poll ratings and they give you high, ratings. It's true. We are ill-served by our corporatized media. We are you don't get the BBC engaging in this kind of shit because they get public funding. Oh,
yeah,
boy.
Yeah, I try to get a wide variety of sources. I hold my nose and watch Fox sometimes to get a view of what they're saying, and I listen to the BBC network. And have you ever listened to this Al Jazeera network?
Yes, yeah. Whatever. Sometimes good.
They're more in depth.
They're more in depth.
They seem to have more time to go into it.
Well, yeah, right. In that regard, they are patterned more after a BBC newscast than certainly a commercialized American one. But thank you, sir.
All right,
good
you have
call.
a good weekend, Lynn.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh boy, what we got here? This was left over from yesterday. I didn't get to it. It came in too late. Roger writes, we hear how 72 virgins will await those who give their lives in this religious war. Is that only for men? Ha! That's a good point. What about that woman who blew herself up in Paris yesterday? Does she want a bunch of virgins? Well, maybe. We don't know. Good point. I never heard that. Is that only for men, or do Muslim women get the same benefit, Roger asks. Some are blowing themselves up for the cause. And then he says, I try not to get too negative, but I'm starting to agree wholeheartedly in Bill Maher's belief that religion is the problem. Well, I'm reading him now. Hang on. Fucking Muslims not taking care of their radicals. Fucking Southern Baptists who allowed the KKK to exist. Anti-Jewish sentiment, anti-gay, pro-life, while pro-war and death penalty, etc. The real problem, seems to me, is young men. Some call it piss and vinegar, but many just can't manage their emotions with testosterone. Sometimes I wish we didn't get our man parts until we reached 40. And maybe never for some assholes like Dick Cheney. That's from Roger. Yeah, you do wish that, I understand, that it would be good if testosterone kicked in when you had a little wisdom to go with the piss and vinegar, as you're saying. It is, God knows. What? I got a call? Hello, I have a call. Hello.
Hey, it's Clarence.
It's Clarence. Hi.
The last thing I heard you say is religion is the problem, which is, I've been preaching longer than Bill Maher.
Yes.
But the reason why I called was the women get turned into virgins when they take their virginity back, because men have to have somebody.
You're making this up.
Yes, I'm making it up.
Yeah.
The whole thing's made up. They don't get. If they're going there to get 72 virgins, each guy has to be a lot of virgins. So when the women blow themselves out,
they have to become one of the virgins because
they blow themselves up and
yeah.
they go to heaven and become a virgin.
And so they get screwed by these terrorists all day.
All day. And here's the thing: they remain virgins for eternity.
Now that's a trick. That's a trick.
72 per guy. Yeah. That's a lot of virgins.
That is a lot of virgins. I mean, has anyone bothered to sort of do the math on this? How many virgins are busily working now?
Yeah. The number 72. Why is it 72?
I don't know.
Yeah. What is that, 6 dozen? I'm terrible at that kind of stuff.
Sounds right.
Yeah. 6 dozen virgins each.
Sure. That'll keep you occupied. That'll wear you out.
Yeah. I would like a baker's dozen, actually.
Yeah, that's enough. 13.
But yeah, that's you don't know how much stuff you said this show that I looked up and posted on Facebook. There's a bunch. I was like, oh man, this is an informative show. This is probably the most informative in a long time.
Oh, that's good. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
thank
the
you.
ACLU thing.
Yeah.
The quote from that guy from Germany.
Yeah.
I just looked that up.
Yeah.
What else did I post? Krugman's article.
Yeah.
So I said, man, she's on a roll.
Well, how about
writing stuff down?
Find out the Republican congressman. You can get his speech online.
That's the other one, and I got that too.
Because that's a good one. Because that's a conservative Republican military guy.
Yeah, I got like 6 tabs going across. I haven't had a chance to listen to you and post, so I got tabs opened on my browser.
Great.
So when you're done, I can get into day-long arguments with conservatives who make absolutely no sense.
Hey, you appreciate graphic art, right?
Yes.
So, my obit today, I'm just going to change the subject, is a guy named Michael Gross. He's the one who did the Ghostbusters logo.
Yeah, which is great.
Which is great, and has morphed into a million other things. But he also did. Do you remember National Lampoon? That's not that magazine.
Definitely.
Well, I remember this issue, January 1973. Now you're too young, but
I was 10 years old.
All right, but maybe you've seen it.
Got that magazine.
Maybe you've seen it because the American Society of Magazine Editors ranked one of his covers for National Lampoon to be among the greatest magazine covers of all time. And what it was, I remember seeing it was the funniest thing. It's this adorable dog, black, with a half black on one eye and white, and he's just sitting there, but he's looking. His eyes are looking off to his right, where a gun is up against the dog's head. So the dog looks like he's about to be killed, and he's so damn cute. And all it says on the cover is, "If you don't buy this magazine, we'll kill this dog."
I don't remember it, but I do have Google. I see it now.
Is that funny? Is that funny or what? I remember seeing and thinking, "Oh my God!"
I hate to say it. What that reminds me of is something I did to one of my art teachers, Henry Kerner.
Henry Kerner was a great artist.
Oh, yeah, he was great.
He taught you?
Definitely one of my favorite teachers.
Wow.
What we used to do was, he set up a model in a classroom. You couldn't bring a pencil in. You had to draw with an ink pen.
Whoa.
And so you had to see before you drew. And you draw your model ink pen. Then he'd march us out with our pads and our pens and, take us to a place that we'd have to draw the environment on the same paper. But he was known for, if he didn't like something, writing a big red letter, shit, a red marker right across your drawing.
Oh, God.
So what I did was I went up to him, handed him my drawing, took out my X-Acto knife and put it at his throat. I said, "I swear, if you write shit on my paper, I'll cut your throat, old man." He tried his best not to crack up laughing, but he tried his best not to laugh like hard.
Well, you would have had to know him well, because a lot of people would have called the police.
Yeah. He thought I was hilarious. And, I was all,
Oh, sure.
And I got him. You know what I mean? I got the whole shit thing. That was a funny old dude. He rode his bike back and forth to Squirrel every day.
Was he a refugee?
I don't know. He had the accent and everything.
He did. I think he was a German, refugee.
Yeah, that guy was great. I had some great teachers back then.
Oh, man, that's impressive. I'd kill to have one of his paintings. Jeez.
What's that?
I'd kill to have one of his paintings. I love his stuff.
I was doing caricatures one time for some friends.
Yeah.
I'll say from Squirrel Hill so I don't get too racist. So, and this lady told me, I don't like your drawing of me. It doesn't look right. The next time I saw her, she said, when I looked at it again, and I had a painting by Henry Kerner. She said, I had a painting from Henry Kerner, and you captured something in me that he captured. I said, what? You captured something in me? I said, you compared me to Henry Kerner? She said, yeah. I said, I should kiss you.
Oh, wow.
She compared me to
Henry Kerner. That's praise indeed. For those of you who don't know Henry Kerner, look him up, Koerner.
Yeah, that's
right, Koe. Yeah,
I remember the Koe. That's what I remember.
Koe. No, he's really incredible. Yeah. Hey, Clarence, have a great weekend. Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Right, bye.
Got some emails to share here. Beth writes, listening to the fear of Americans of accepting people who are at their most desperate has made my head want to explode. These people are at their wits' end, and those who are most desperate will remember those who did not help, thus creating a whole new breeding ground for more terrorism. Did we expel every Saudi Arabian after 9/11, considering a majority of the hijackers were from that country? No, we did not. And they had physically attacked us, unlike this poor Syrians who haven't done a damn thing. This Congress has not done anything in years and consequently has a 10% approval rating. But yet, to justify their arrogance and fear, they quote poll numbers of Americans that want this legislation passed. Amazing how on deaf ears poll numbers also scream that Americans want campaign finance reform, loopholes closed on guns, and legalizing pot, and yet nothing has been done on those topics. No, they like the polls that agree with them, obviously. Melanie writes, I've been very busy this week and unable to listen in, so I may be repeating a question. I know the mayor has said that Pittsburgh will welcome refugees. Is there an organization or community organization that is spearheading that? Could we support or volunteer in some way? Great question, Melanie. And I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. I must call the mayor's office and, maybe they can tell you. And Henry writes, Lynn, just as annoying as Blitzer's interjections of fear are the commercials of fear that they've been carrying. If I hear one more commercial about losing my house or not being prepared for retirement or a reverse mortgage, I'm going to scream. You see, but Henry, that's how you don't get people's attention by rational discourse. You get people's attention by scaring the shit out of them. That's what... That's why, the promos for... I used to make so much fun of these promos in local television news. What is lurking in your house that could kill you and your family? We'll let you know after this. All right? Hello? Oh, we got a call? No, we don't. Okay. So... and there had to be a fear of the. I don't want. I've talked about it so much. Media love scaring you because it makes them money. Politicians like it because it gets them votes. Caller, go ahead, please.
I'll make it real quick.
Yes.
You just talked about what I was going to call about the news media. ISIS is playing them like a fiddle. I mean, they are just I can't take them anymore. I feel more threatened by a mosquito biting me in the winter than ISIS. I really do. I think it's so blown out of proportion. I'm not even believing that these people even did all this stuff. I think they're getting credit for some stuff, but I'm not sure they did it. I want to see the proof on that. But what's wrong with the 51% Democrats don't want to have ground troops? Did they not see the Iraq War?
Is it 51? What?
51% Democrats now, I think it is, think we should go on the ground with American troops. What the hell is wrong with these people?
Man, I thought I had short-term memory loss. Jeez.
Yeah, I just saw that yesterday. And
Unbelievable.
I thought,
well,
you got to be kidding. I had to shut the TV off. But
yeah, do. Have a great weekend, guys, by turning off the damn television, okay? And you too. Right. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Yeah, so it's light up night tonight. Nice, crisp, clear November evening. Celine does not look too much in the mood. For that matter, either am I, but, whatever. I'm trying to think if there's anything I need to tell you guys. Obviously, next week we got a short week. It's only Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But I don't think we have anything special. If you're a smart Pittsburgher this weekend, you will hole up in your home and not attempt to get anywhere. The Parkway East is going to be closed down, right? So, yeah, pretty much. And then there's all these other things that are happening. God help you. That's all I want to say. And who are the geniuses that decided to close the Parkway at 11 p.m. tonight when there'll be hundreds of thousands of people downtown celebrating Light Up Night, and they think that all of them will be leaving the downtown before 11? Celine says take the bus, and you know what? She ain't incorrect. Okay, well, have a great weekend. Do not watch any more television. There is nothing you can do about this, but do not succumb to fear. We have nothing to fear but our fearful neighbors. That's it. They're more a threat to you than any lunatic ISIS jerk. Okay? Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.